I'm about to say
Hello,
again.
everyone. Good evening. It's another night of Kwentuhan here on Kwentong GK. And we have been celebrating Women's Month this month, and we've been featuring women of Gawad Kalinga, right? And sabi ko nga, I'm Maricel Villanueva, our executive director here on GK USA. We will be remiss if we do not have one of the pillars of Gawad Kalinga, Miss Issa Cuevas Santos. Hi, Isa.
Hi! Ibig sabihin
Sabi,
daw pag pillar, malaking tao. Ayan.
eh,
Chubby.
matangkad ka
Chubby.
naman. Pwede, pwede.
Pillar ever.
Gusto ko,
Hi! Hi, everyone! Good morning.
good morning sa inyo dyan sa Pilipinas. And good evening.
Correct. Good night pala sa inyo. Oo nga naman. Ano ba? Sorry.
Oo.
Hashtag Timo Brain. Hindi nagigets.
Well, first of all, Isa, paunahan na natin sila. Napaaga tayo ng start. This
Oo nga.
evening, may 8:30 meeting si Isa, which is a.m. doon sa Pilipinas. So, 45 minutes. So, para hindi naman tayo masyadong mabitin na instead na
So, pwede tong Tagalog, hindi to Englishan? Aba,
well, sabi ni Maricel,
pwede.
napapagalitan tayo kasi nasasabihan ako, Donna, dapat
Sige.
90% English.
Okay. Naubos na natin yung 10% Tagalog. So,
Correct.
from here on, English na tayo. Nag-ipon
Correct.
ako ng mga English at for many days, I did not speak any English so that I can handle a 30-minute Englishan call.
So we can concentrate.
Yeah.
English is concentrated tonight. Okay. Yeah. So we would like to apologize if we started a little bit early this evening. And that's because Isa has a very important meeting at 8:30 a.m. Manila time. So we have
So
about
that fewer people will watch.
so we have about 45 minutes or so with Isa. So we just really want to take advantage of this opportunity to chat with Isa and what's going on and everything. So first of all, obviously you're sporting a very
Summer look.
summer look. Summer na summer.
Yeah. Correct.
But I'm
Summer
sure
na summer sa Pinas.
summer. It's not just the summer na reason for such haircut. And for those of you who are following Isa on social media, she's been posting her health journey. No, so Isa was diagnosed with breast cancer. Was it? And how?
So I got diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer in June. And then I got surgery like a couple of days after, like the Fast and the Furious. And then I did a couple of rounds of chemo and there. So I think it's my 8th or 9th month na no sign of disease is what they call it.
Yay! So,
yeah.
But you know what? The first time I saw your post, sabi ko nga sa'yo, ano ba naman yan? Parang, I was so shocked. Kasi I saw you October 2019. Conference in Tampa, nag-aasaran pa tayo and everything. We were like,
parang ngayon lang.
There was no indication at all. Ngayon tuloy, iniisip ko na, wala medyo bawasan ko ng pang-aasal.
I think it was really good that I got it. One, I think because I was in a better state of health. I was much stronger. I do sports. So going through it, to be honest, wasn't as hard as other people have it. And I owe that a lot, I think, to being sporty almost all my life and having, thankfully, like a relatively good prayer time, a fantastic support structure. But the reason why I find it such a gift is because I think it raises the awareness for women like you or anyone else. I think it's good when people who you don't expect to get cancer get it because it makes you careful. And the thing with cancer is so much of, especially breast cancer for women, is already treatable and manageable if you catch it early. And you really have problems with it when you discover it late. So I was very blessed and thankful that I found it early. And now I always advocate to women, no matter what your age, it's very simple. Like these breast exams are extremely simple to do. You don't have to be scared of it. And once you catch it, I mean, of course, no, syempre medyo nakakatakot siya ng konti. Pero if you catch it early, you can actually do many things pa and still live a very happy, fulfilled life. So yun, I kind of always remind young women, please always do your breast exams often, do your pap smears, because if you catch it early, then it's like a cough or cold that you just treat. Ganun.
And I love that you're documenting this on social media.
Mm.
You're right. People, women need to be aware, although there are men also who get, breast
Yes, who gets breast
cancer. We all
cancer.
have to be aware. And like you said, early detection is a lot. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I started getting mammograms before
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very
That's
cis.
very smart. It's very smart. My doctor actually told me that. Na parang a lot of people think you should only get a mammogram when you're 40, but the breast cancer cases are actually getting younger and younger. And so, yeah, so unfortunately, the numbers are increasing. And young women, I think because of the kind of lifestyles that we have and the kind of demands on women today, I think make us I guess, more prone to cancer, maybe stress, or the kind of food that we eat if you're not careful. So, and really, as you can see, it can happen to anybody, right? Anybody who looks physically fit. I have another friend who had it almost the same time as me, and she's like the healthiest food person I know. Like, this is not even just counting calories. This is like looking at what's in it, like a lot of stuff that I don't even know about. And she still got the cancer. So for me, it's really just advocating to women, just assume that you might get it, and then just do your exams carefully. And then if you have it, keep a healthy mental state, pray to God, keep a healthy support structure around you, and kind of
And
man.
that's another thing that another part of your documentation that I love, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end. It's you can do
Yep.
about it.
Yep.
You're doing yoga. You're doing all
Mm-hmm.
now. You're training for what is it? Is it?
An ultra marathon.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but
It's not
that's a fundraiser for breast cancer. So the cost just kind of drove me. I don't think I would have done it for any other reason, honestly. But this cause is so important, and I think I'm one of the luckier ones who didn't have such a hard time with it. And of course, I don't know if God will take me tomorrow. No, hindi man natin yan alam. But fairly, I would say this cancer journey has been more a gift than anything else. And so I feel very much I feel very compelled to what I can, like to raise awareness, to raise funds, so that we can find a cure for cancer. So it's just, what do you do with your one short life? And you just kind of try and make the most out of it.
Live it, diba? Yeah.
Oh no, I always think that. And to other, like the ones who are struggling with cancer, I always tell them, if God gives you another day, because He certainly can take you, and it's more real. I mean, of course, no. I always remind people, to begin with, lahat naman tayo pwede kunin ni Lord anytime, diba? It's not just cancer patients. It's just it's more real for people like us, and it's a great reminder. But if God gives you another day, right? There's no point sulking or thinking like, why did I get the cancer? Or what am I gonna do with it? If He gives you another day, you just live it. Otherwise, what was the point, diba? Di sana nagpakuha ka na lang. Volunteer ka na lang. Papa God, please take me. Ganon.
Oo na na.
Ayoko na. Ganon. Diba?
Grabe, you're so, ang tapang mo, you're so brave. And you're so brave, it's unreal. So
No, it's just what's the point?
The first time you heard though from your doctor, were you this brave? Was that the first thing? Like, go, like I can fight this. Was that your action? Or was there any tinge of fear man lang the first time you heard from your
No, I came into that doctor's office. I came into that doctor's office knowing I already had cancer. Like I had crossed it in my mind already. So when I went to her and she told me, she actually said I might be one of the only women who didn't cry when I was told. But that's because I already crossed it in my mind. And when I came into the clinic, I was just, okay, so like I'm going to treat this like a Spartan event, and like how are we just going to train for it, and how are we going to do it? And but I wanted to take like maybe just a couple of minutes to say thank you, because it was actually the scariest part about cancer is when you don't know what it is. And that's what I always tell people. Once you know it kasi, and you know what to do, it just at least for me, my mind clocks into how are we gonna fight this, right? Just like a Spartan thing or an ultra marathon, like you just create a plan. But when you don't know what it is, that was the scariest part. And God has been so good. The people who are close to me know this story, but two good friends of mine, I'm sure you know them, Rafi Orhino and Luis Ocañena.
Yeah.
Um, they had agreed to do a praise fest. So for the people that don't know, like in our farmer community, we used to do like a praise and worship session. So they agreed to do like an online praise fest. And for some strange reason, they had sort of asking me to be part of it. Um, but they both of them didn't know that I thought I might have cancer because I had already gotten my mammo results, but not my biopsy. And so the day of the praise fest was the day that I was gonna be told my diagnosis.
Wow.
Um, it's crazy, like, and when they first called me about it, the funniest part was that the reflection that they had thought of was the story of the hemorrhaging woman in the Bible, and how she had just touched Jesus' cloak and she was healed. And it just, I couldn't, like, up to now, like, these are the only times when I cry, when I realized just how much God had always been there from the beginning. And so since that process, like, that was my last, like, ultra cry.
Mhm.
Um, and to be honest, I think when I think about the healing that happened, I don't even think about physical healing, but I think God just healed me from all the fear and from all the, I guess, some anger of like, why in the world is it me? Like,
Yeah.
and I think after that praise fest, it's just everything became so much lighter. And that was such a gift. And I think Rafi and Luis have both mean so much to me on so many fronts. But I think just in that pivotal moment, how God used the two of them, I think I'll always remember. And since then, it's just been, if I cry tears, it's just so much gratitude because when I think about how I first thought about cancer, diba? And I see it because every single person I told cried, except for me. Um, every single friend, I did Zoom calls with people in the US. Almost everybody cries because their experience of cancer has been so painful and so difficult, and they see loved ones or friends suffering from it and dying. And I had kind of the same thoughts, but I mean, by grace, it's just not been like that for me. I can't explain it either. And I think if somebody asks me what's the one word for my cancer journey, I'll really just say grace. And it's just been like feeling like a walking miracle every day. Like that's certainly how I feel. I go through chemo and it doesn't, I honestly thought that maybe my chemo meds were fake for a while. Just because I wouldn't feel any of the other stuff that the rest of the people were feeling. I've been able to do yoga even on days when I have chemo, the day after chemo, just do an ultra marathon, just within a few months from the end of my chemotherapy. So just things like that where it's really been so much grace. It's unbelievable.
Praise God. Oh my goodness. That's
Super.
talaga. Amazing, amazing.
Super. And I really, the reason why I say it all the time is because I don't want people to think that it's some sort of superwoman thing that I'm pulling off. Because I really don't think it's anything superwomanish. It's just super God. Just
I love that. I love that
it
because
really
that's
isn't.
super
Mm.
when I see your posts, right?
Mm-hmm. And it
Um,
really isn't. It really is just what a super God we have.
true, true. Oh my, thank you for saying that. So now let's switch gears a little bit here. With the pandemic, how are things with you, with the family, your work?
um, it's been challenging, of course. And I think any of us who work in both like a corporate job but also loving having grown to love GK so much, it really is quite difficult because there's not much that you can do. And I was just telling my friends this yesterday where for someone who grew up in GK where you're very others oriented, it almost feels very selfish to say just protect your family. It's very it's really not the mode that you're in. And some days, I have to really admit, it's very difficult not to succumb to the hopelessness. But I'm so glad actually that there is GK, and that the work that I'm in Pro Friends allows me to do meaningful work because um, it allows me to focus on what I can do. I was talking to a good friend of mine and I was saying, as parents, there are so many conversations between Manny and I where we go, is this still worth it to raise children in the Philippines? And then we catch ourselves and remind ourselves, even to have this conversation speaks of our privilege. Because there's like millions of Filipinos who can't even think about these options of leaving the country or pursuing work abroad, and just the fact that we can think about it is already our privilege. And I think about all those who don't have a choice, and so for that we stay on, diba? And GK, even though I can't do it right now because of the pandemic, and also because I need to be a bit more careful because I'm immunocompromised. But when I see my friends, when I see Luis, when I see Dan go on mission, then it really lights up my heart, gives me hope, reminds me that this thing is going to end. And even when it does, the best part about it is how GK has evolved. That to me has been the greatest gift. Like, I see communities now making their own videos. Like, those are things that I would, right? Like, those are things that I would never have thought of. I mean, we would spend so much bringing in a crew, doing the interviews, thinking through storyboards, just so many of the things that we used to do before, just because we never thought they would do it by themselves. And now they are. And the quality of these videos, I love. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never been a fan of these like overly produced material anyway. Like, I love raw, real. Yeah, like those are the things that I absolutely love. And so I'm so addicted. Like, they have a page, the Kapitbahayan page, where all of our communities just kind of post their content. And I'm more addicted to that page than I am to Netflix, just because God knows we all need this inspiration and to be reminded of what's important. And so I love how GK has been that for me, and I hope it's the same for others, where it really reminds us that this world isn't just about us or our families, and that we can do something.
Yun lang mga videos that they produce, those kids at CPAG. So, Chrissy, hi, Chrissy. Chrissy is helping us tonight, by the way. Christine Saplala. She would be posting or sharing with us some of your questions or comments or even shout outs, those people who want to say hi to Issa. So yeah, so Chrissy and I were talking about how amazing these kids are. They put together, they teach themselves how to produce, like edit and all of that, diba? So, but you're
magaling pa sila sa atin.
Hanggang ngayon nga, hindi ako marunong mag-edit eh. Puro lang. Clip in the beginning and end, but I can't really do any editing. And that's still in my bucket list, able to do is to edit. So you mentioned Pro Friends. I'm not sure that many people know. The first time I knew that you have transitioned over to Pro Friends was in October 2019 when I first heard about it during conference in Tampa. And you explained there why the transition and what you're doing now in Pro Friends. And I thought we should take this opportunity to share with our friends here in GK USA. And then maybe some people in the Philippines baka hindi pa nila alam. Under a rock, baka hindi mo alam. So ano yun?
Posible.
What do you do for Pro Friends now and why the change?
Okay, so I'm ano ba? Trying to kind of pull back and see. So the person behind Pro Friends, Jerry Chowa, is actually a very, very long time friend and mentor of Gawad Kalinga. So for the people that don't know, even when Luis and I were very, very young, our relationship goes back to over 20 years. No kidding. That's how much we've known each other. There was a project that we needed to work on together. And I think I mean, of course, no, Ate Dons, yung itsura namin nun, parang mga chikiting patrol ever. I don't know why people believed us at that time. Up to now, like inisip ko, when I see old photos, I'm like, I don't know why they believed us. But he was one of those really early believers, and actually gave GK a home. So for many many years, the Bible always say this. GK was the squatter. Like our former office used to be like literally a garage that we converted. I remember my office was under the stairs. So if you need to stand up, you have to pull back your chair. Kasi pag tumayo lang ako bigla in my excitement, siguradong parang, yun siguro yung nag-cause ng cancer ko kung magka-brain cancer ako. Yan, yung kakatayo ko ng kakatayo sa office, parang ganyan. And so he's been someone that we've loved so much and admired. And he also helped us put order to our shelter program because he's one of the biggest real estate developers. So this is Mr. Jerry Tsoa, Tito Jerry for a lot of people in GK, Tatay Jerry for a lot of the people in Lancaster. So in 2016? I think in 2016, if my dates are wrong, please remember that I had chemo. This is my favorite disclaimer. Yeah. So now any mistake that I make, I can always just accredit it to my beautiful chemo brain. So I think it was 2016, and he was thinking about a large scale socialized housing program, the largest ever for both GK and Pro Friends. This is about over 4,000 homes in Iloilo. And he was looking for someone to lead that. And Luis and I were actually fielding names, like literally, oh, Tito Jer, ganyan. He actually interviewed a couple of them. And then I don't know, in a conversation where I wasn't present, this is the truth. This is not chemo brain. So in a conversation where I was not present, they kind of just both decided, now, why don't we just put Issa there? And then they came to a meeting to say it. And then I have so much trust and respect for both these two people that even if that wasn't something that I had figured out for myself, and I actually really cried. Like a lot of people know this story. I wrote a very hurt and angry resignation letter to Luis. And this letter is framed because Luis never writes love letters. And so I think out of my own sadness, he decided to write it back. So I'm probably the only one, other than his wife Tess, who has a love letter from Luis. And so that's kind of how that came about. And so to me, it's not, when people ask me, did I move? And I always say, no, I think it's just an expansion of mission. Yes. Every single day that I work in Pro Friends, I always think to myself, I'm still a missionary. It's just that my allowance has gotten a little bigger from what it used to be in GK. I actually earn some money so that I can buy my own stuff and like not ask my husband anymore. Like I can buy underwear now, no kidding. Just, like little things like that. My own appliances if I want to, ganon. So in the pandemic, I bought things that I don't think I would, with my own money. So, but to me, it's just an extension of mission. And I love how, like in my work, so I do a couple of things for Pro Friends as part of the leadership team. But the one that I love the most is the cultural development work that we do. So for the people who don't know, Pro Friends developed Lancaster New City, which is unbelievably hectares upon hectares. So it's really like its own city, spanning 4 towns in Cavite. And we have currently around 20,000 families that live in it. And our goal is to make sure that this new middle class is really the one that understands what it means to really live in a society where people care and share. And to me, that's, if you guys are as Jurassic as I am, we do think about the 5 million families. And that was always very possible for me. I know that there were so many who would say 5 million is so difficult, but we always knew that if we got 5 million people to share what they had, then there can be 5 million families out of poverty. And I think about that in our work today, where we're able to get one family to just sponsor the education of one kid. for the rest of their life. And I see whole families getting out of poverty just because one family member was able to get educated and to just break that chain. I see that a lot in Seed. That's why I'm so passionate. ProFriends actually has scholars in Seed. And these are kids from our communities in Iloilo who are now leading their own enterprises. And it's just, it only takes one, you see. And 5 million only looks big when you think, oh, there's just 20 of us helping 5 million. But if there were 5 million of us, then it's actually not a very big job, to be honest, because there's more of us than there is of them. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. ProFriend is the only real estate company I know that invests in culture development. And so, like last Christmas, one of my greatest joys, because we were in the pandemic, and people couldn't go out. Kids couldn't go out of their homes. And we just knew that it was important for people to remember what Christmas was about. Like that was so important to me. And this is in the middle of my cancer journey also, where you realize, you know, life is so short and a pandemic shouldn't rob us of these joys. And so we mounted a Christmas campaign where we had Santa go around our community. And instead of Santa giving out gifts, Santa was collecting gifts.
Wow.
And yeah, it was absolutely beautiful, right? It was absolutely beautiful that we could show kids the magic of Christmas. And we had kids crying seeing Santa. Just you remember how it was when you were a small kid. But now teaching a new way of living where it's not Santa giving out gifts, but you giving out a gift to Santa so that Santa can give it to kids who are in need. And we collected so many gifts there, like truckloads of gifts. You can imagine when you have a community of 20,000. So we had truckloads of gifts, and the GK community near us actually couldn't take all of them. We had to give it out to so many more communities. And those things, right? Those are the things that remind me, okay, this really is an expansion of mission. And thankfully, I have my friends in GK who are really working in the poor communities. But then we also need to work on larger society and get them to see how they play a part in this whole story of rising out of poverty. Because these poor families aren't going to get out of there by themselves. I mean, there's such a large contribution to their will, to their joy, but they do need like somebody to give them just sort of a little lift. And so now I feel like that's what we're working on. We're working on getting those dots to connect so that we can actually get our job done in GK. So that kind of feeds into my purpose and why I feel so strongly that even if I'm so grateful to God that He gave me ProFriends and Gawad Kalinga as a gift, and to be able to expand our work, I feel is such a great privilege.
That's fantastic, especially yung Santa story. So, obviously, you know, everything that ProFriends does, right? And I can understand how, you know, you've expanded your work. Like you said, it really is just an expansion of the mission, right? That's a fantastic idea. We should do that here in the US. And I don't have kids, so that's why I tread very lightly at this because I cannot say that I understand, di ba? Kung hindi ka nanay, I'm not a mom, so I don't, you know.
Pero, naaalala mo how it was when you saw Santa when you were a kid, di ba?
I do, but you know, like sometimes though, like I, you know, like there's so many toys just lying around the house, not being played because napagsawaan.
Yep.
Because there's a new toy already, you know. So that toys just, you know, gathered up, right? If they're not donated. People naman donate sa Goodwill, etc. Right? But I love that concept about what you did.
Reverse Santa. It was such a cool thing. Like it was just, and it honestly, like for everyone that lived in this community, like it just brought home a message of Christmas, especially in a time of a pandemic. And I think I'll forever kind of think about that memory, and it will always be like one of the most special Christmases ever, I swear.
All right. So may question ako about ProFriends development community.
Sure.
But basahin lang natin tong comment from Dulce Matias.
I know her. Hi.
Issa through GK, inspiring, dedicated, strong woman. Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, ang question ko is actually more personal because I was looking through Pro Friends website a while back pa, even before when I found out, this might have been when I found out that you worked there, maybe around the
Mm-hmm.
quarter of 2019. And I was curious to know are there any recent or ongoing developments that people can invest into, or what can
Absolutely. I mean, ProFriends truly is one of the largest in Cavite, and then we also have in Iloilo. In Cavite, we actually have almost everything within any price range, from uh, like very small houses, cheaper houses, to quite upscale houses. And so whatever is in that spectrum, I think people can invest. And just on this point, Ate Dons, so my parents, hello, dad and mom, dad in heaven, mom on earth, thank you God, really taught me the value of real estate investments. When my dad died, actually, my mom was so smart that she put my dad's money in real estate. And so at the end of it, if she passes, she'll actually give us far more than what my dad left us. And that's really the magic of real estate investing over a period of time, because it does not depreciate. And so I always tell people, especially young ones, because I'm so inspired. We have buyers in ProFriends who are so young, as in their 20s, who have just landed a job. Sinasay ko nga ate, sobrang swerte ng ibang lalaki because so many of these are young women who are already investing in houses. And really, literally, a guy is just going to move into their house that they bought in their 20s. But it's great for saving, like instead of splurging on Lazada or whatever it is, these clothes, these cars, everything else is going to depreciate. But
Right.
real estate is not. And this is not even because I'm in Profit, but our properties appreciate in value faster than anything else. I was so blessed because when I joined ProFriend, si Tito Jerry actually really told me to buy and told me, Nais, if your property value doesn't double in the next 5 years, I'm going to get my hand cut off. This is not a joke. Like, I mean, this is how confident he is in how we create value. And so I bought, and true enough, like it's not even 5 years, and that property has doubled in value. But I want to pull back and say the reason why I believe so much in Tito Jerry and in the work of ProFriends is because he was the first person who told us many years ago, and Luis will remember this, and he said, values equals value. And it just, I had never thought of that before, right? I had always thought about values as something that GK did, but I didn't realize, and I see it now in this community, how it actually, the value appreciates because you live in a community that is not just beautiful, you don't just have nice houses, but that you live in a community where your children can thrive. You live in a community where there are shared values. And it is true. Values equals value. And I always thought that was true for GK. But when you look at that throughout a spectrum of society, the more that society comes back to universal human values, the more that the value of human life also kind of appreciates. And so these are the things that I kind of love being able to do, right? To pull back from a GK experience and to see that in my corporate work and to see both so beautifully melded together really is such a gift. And so I think I'll forever be grateful, right? Like I'm just utterly grateful to be able to kind of sit in this little in between of two spaces.
Love it, love it. Values equal value equals value. Galing.
Mr. Jerry Chowa. Super brilliant. Super as in,
so you're
grabe yun.
investing not only you're not only building homes, you're not only building, but you're really not only building homes for communities, but you're building a new, not a culture of, of caring for one another and, and the
You know what's so hilarious too? The vision and mission statement of Pro Friends, like our tagline is
Yeah.
creating communities, transforming lives. And it
Wow.
really
Oh,
it's
alam mo,
so
no, I
funny.
saw that actually when I checked out your website.
It's so funny. And Pro Friends and GK were born the same year. So I really think, yeah,
And
I
hindi
really think that
kasi ano si
I
Jen.
really think God designed it in such a way that one part would work on poor families, another part would work on just creating the middle class and putting that together. And so I always feel very much that these two are intertwined, and thankfully Sir Jerry also, Sir Jerry also really believes that, and so he's such a huge supporter. I mean, I'm not kidding. To be given a building in Mandaluyong for
Yeah.
anyone that lives in the Philippines and understands property values in Metro Manila. Luis and I can't even wrap our heads around that, right? Like I can't, I can't,
Yeah.
and no way in a million years did we think that GK would one day own a building. I still have a hard time saying the word after being a squatter for so long. This is just how God works, and I'll pull back to that again and say how, just throughout the course of history, how when we keep giving to others, just don't you just love it that you can't outdo the Lord in generosity, right? Like we always think that we give, we always think that, oh my gosh, I'm giving. And yet when you recall your life, it's just, my gosh, I cannot outdo this God. Like even if I give away everything,
There's so much
yung
more that
balik sa atin, 'di ba? And I
yeah.
think for GK USA, that's kind of been just the beauty of it when I come to your country, right? And to see, maiyak ako because this always amazed me. Just people who have never been to a GK community, right? Like so many GK volunteers have never been to a GK community. They've never seen any of the work firsthand, but their commitment is so strong. It's unbelievable. And then they'll share with you stories of how God just really blesses them back. And that's just, wow, this is such a beautiful thing, right? Just to see um how God created us for giving, but yet he gives it all back and more.
Yes. I'm actually really one of those people. I've never to this day I have never seen a
See?
GK except GK Enchanted Farm. Counted naman yun, di ba?
And yet, I'm sure if I quizzed you, if I gave you a pop quiz about GK, you'd probably remember more things than I do. So, like,
Only
that's
because
amazing.
my husband tells me I'm a tape recorder, he cannot lie to me. Okay.
Also, because I have chemo brain.
Okay. Well, we have a few more comments here before we go on to our next topic. Not naman topic, but next things that I wanted to. Next thing I wanted to ask you from Tess de la Sean Javier. Hello po. Good day, all GK communities. Keep safe. Love, GK Consuelo and GK Takasan. From
That's Tita Carol.
yeah, from Jose Rafinian, which of course is Tito Jun Rafinian, Dr. Rafinian. Good evening, Issa. Thank you for all the great things. Tito
Aww. Hi, Tito June. Stay safe.
From Tita Carol Tulud. Hi, Issa.
That's what I said.
See you and listen to you on Quantum GK. It brought back the day I first listened to your GK journey and dreams when you came here in Houston in 2004. I was full of admiration on how you expressed your love and passion to help our country out of poverty. We, Tito Bong,
I miss your house, Tita Carol, and your food.
we, Tito Bong and I love and are very proud of all the sacrifices you have given to the work of GK. Yan, mga love notes from
No
your
sacrifice
friends
at all.
in GK USA. So, well, actually, my next question would be about, first of all, those who are just tuning in or just catching us now, we started early. Sorry, yeah, if you missed out on some things, but you can always click back because it's posted on Facebook, on GK USA's Facebook page, and also will be posted onto our GK USA YouTube channel. So, but we had to start early because Isa has a meeting at 8:30, which will be like 10 minutes from now. So, For those of you who are meeting Isa for the first time, right? So I don't know. I know many people, especially like you said, yung mga Jurassic na dito sa GK, such as myself, and those who are right, they know, they know your background, who you are, and everything, but not maybe just for those who are joining, who just started following GK USA, um, maybe they do not know your story, how how you started with Gaudring, and that's why I said in the beginning of this interview that we will be remiss not to have Isa because along with Luis, not to have Isa during women's celebration of Women's Month because Isa along with Luis were two people who started Gawad Kalinga with Tito Tons back in the day 19 ano ba yan 19
99.
right 1999. So can you tell us about how you really how you started in GK and how Tito Tons find you and all of that?
Um, I wish there was like a better version of this story, but there really isn't. The truth is that I was absolutely heartbroken, like from a breakup. Ang babaw neto, nakakahiya. But we must tell the truth. So I kahiya, yeah. So
Alam ko
I
din
got yun nga, nakakahiya. I mean, I truly wish like Luis has a much better version of how much he like loved the poor, and this was really a conscious decision, purposeful. Mine was just I was absolutely heartbroken, um, and it came at the right time because we were just starting the work with the poor at that time. It didn't even have the name of GK, so Couples for Christ had been in the work of evangelization for a very long time, and I think a lot of people were really looking for something more concrete to do. Because I think that's what faith does. It seeks an expression. And so I think it went to work with the poor, and I was very lucky to be at the right place at the right time, just graduating from college, heartbroken. So I wasn't really in any mood to kind of pursue anything. But also behind all that, I think because my dad, ate had been assassinated by the NPA when I was much younger, it really created just a curiosity in my mind about issues of social justice. And that, with a little push of heartbreak, got me into GK. And I think the work first in Bagong Silang really taught me, and I'll always share this, and that's why I will love them forever. I think for a long time, people would ask me, how did I learn to forgive the killer of my dad? And I always tell them the gift of GK to me has been to realize that there's nothing to forgive, because people don't go into these things out of choice. They get into these things from a lack of choice because of poverty. And so when I realized that if the killer of my dad could be a doctor or a lawyer or anything half of what our children can achieve, I realized there's nothing to forgive. And that's made life so much more just brighter. Just realizing that our work then is to make sure that there's one less child that has to be pushed into communism. There's one less child that has to be pushed into crime, because a lot of the crimes that we see is because people are so absolutely poor. And so that's kind of how I got into GK. We started in one community in Bagong Silang, and then expanded to our second community in Magsungay in Bacolod, which is why we will always love Bacolod and we always want to go back there. And then we woke up one day and found ourselves in over 3,000 communities, because of people like you, because of volunteers. And I know a lot of people will always say, oh, they'll try to attribute the work to one person. But the truth is that it's the work of the collective. Because when you go to a province, they don't even know who we are. They'll know Bobby Magalona, who's like the champion of GK. And when you go to GK USA, they'll only know probably Ate Maricel or Ate Donna, right? And it's never the personality, it's just the collective work that everyone puts in that's gotten us here. And things like, it makes me most proud that things like GK can inspire many things, things like human nature, for example. So I love how when we kind of just all put our little 2 cents worth, when people ask me before why I chose GK, I always said it's because the one small thing that I can put in is multiplied many times over, right? Because for
Yes.
ordinary people like me who are, just as ordinary as can be, there's not a lot. Like, I can't really claim that I can do big things. But when I become part of a family like GK, the little contribution that I give is multiplied 5 million times over. And it's a 24/7 nation building machine. Like, I always was so addicted to the thought that as I sleep, you guys are working, right? And so it's just God has a 24/7 army just trying to fight this thing called poverty. And it's just what a gift it's been, what a journey it's been.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. All right. So we have some more people greeting. Gandang umaga from Herb.
Sige nga, pronounce mo Aber. Ako rin eh. Hello po. Siya ever.
Yeah. So, and then also from Dita Freddy Guevara, looking good, Issa.
Oh, Tita Freddy!
And me too. Me too, daw.
This looking good thing, can I just say, like a little shout out to my best friend ever and sister, Anna Wilk of Human Nature.
Hi, Anna.
Actually, chemotherapy and the hormone therapy that comes after kind of really is so invasive to your skin. Like, I never put anything on my face before, but now I feel like also when you turn 40, kind of the lines start to show and all that. But Anna taught me like a skin regimen, and my God, these Human Nature products are like magic. No kidding. So when people tell me all the time, I think it's because they think about cancer patients and they just don't look like me, perhaps. So I always get this thing where, oh my gosh, you look so good. But it's really, I would like to thank Human Nature. And I swear to God, nothing could be healthier. And just the thought that the stuff I put on my face gives jobs to poor families, I don't think you can ask for a better combination.
It's your pure heart and also Human Nature products, rock.
Human Nature ever. Oh my gosh, this marine caviar, ate. You have to try.
I saw
Like, it's
that.
just, yeah, they have this thing. And if you put it on your face, it's like a very fast spa. Like, I can't explain it. Basta ang sarap-sarap niya sa face. Kind of addicting, actually.
Right. So, meron pa ba? From Maricel Villanueva, you are right, Isa. Our supporters have not seen or experienced GK work in the Philippines, yet help. It's more like to hear is to believe more than to see is to believe. Thank you for your personal story. From JP Jose, thank you, Ate Isa.
Oh, James! Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Like, seriously, so proud. My gosh, yung batang yan, every time he posts, halos maiyak ako.
You have to watch our interview with him. So amazing.
Yeah.
Tapos,
He is amazing. Sigilan na natin to. Si JP na lang interviewin natin.
I-share ko daw yung picture ninyo. Kasi today
Again.
Is what, how many years na yung schools?
9. Like, this is amazing to me. Like, I can't believe that it's the 9th anniversary. So this popped up on my Facebook memories. And it's just, oh my gosh. May buhok pa ako niyan. Joke lang. Magkakabuhok na ako ulit.
You look amazing.
Unless kunin ako ni Lord. Lord, please give me back my hair. Joke.
Galing. Ayan. Okay. So, in the last 1 minute na lang pala, lagot tayo sa sa mga ka-meeting mo. I really want to, invite you to share maybe what you see in the future, what your vision is for the next, 5, 10 years, or and anything that you want to say to our friends here in GK USA, also in the Philippines, whoever's watching us at this time.
Actually po, it's just, to me, it's just so much gratitude, and to the people in GK USA especially. I know that sometimes it's not easy to imagine the impact of the work that you guys do, but it's so impactful. And when I think about so the gift of cancer is that you don't actually look very far, because God could take you later after this call. But what I do see is that the future is so secure, right? And I was speaking about this to a group of young GK leaders, and I was telling them part of the reason why I'm really not afraid to pass on and to see God is because I know that the work that we started many years ago is in safer hands than it has ever been, because we truly were like the worst stewards possible. I think if you know Luis and I, um, our humanity gets the better of us. We're the most human two people in this world. And yet, if God can use two imperfect people, three actually at that time with Tito Tony, to bring the work this far, I can't imagine what people like JP Jose can do with GK, or volunteers of GK USA. When I think about all the young volunteers who do this work with us, I can't help but feel excited. And there's no part of me that's like, I'm so confident that I'd be smiling down from heaven, assuming I get to heaven, possibly hell or somewhere in between. I'm not sure. But I really was telling them this, that there's so much joy just knowing that the legacy is in great hands because of people like you. And this work, because it's God's work, can only grow. And I think if we all kind of stay faithful, if we do what we can, if we raise the next generation of leaders like JP Jose, I think we'll all kind of see each other in heaven, give a pat to the back and say, hey, as God says, good and faithful servant, right? And nothing could be more exciting than that. Just to know that this work lives beyond us, and that it will continue to make a difference. And the world that we so aspire for, even if we don't see it in our lifetime, is a certainty already. God has already won it.
Awesome. Awesome. Issa, kulang talaga yung 45 minutes. With even an hour, even a
Favor.
it's always a delight for me.
Magchismisa na lang tayo, ate.
You know, it's always, you know, it's always a pleasure for me whenever I see you. I don't see you often enough. But when I
Aw.
really get
Love you,
truly
At.
excited, ano ba, hindi naman ako naiiyak dito. Nakailan na ako since September. Ngayon because, you know, it's just really truly inspiring, you know. You're inspiring. Your story is inspiring. When Robbie and I first heard about your, you know, your health crisis, right? We've been praying for you every single night. To this day, every night we pray together every night, and you know, and we pray for you. You're included in our prayers with healing and everything. But you know, and we're just really very thankful. I know that I share this with one who's watching us tonight, and those who will be watching this video later on. We are all very grateful for the gift of you in this community.
Aw.
And your gift of friendship, and you know, and we wish you well. We wish you the best in everything. Oh my gosh, parang ang dami-dami. Kailan ba yung marathon, right?
I'm almost done. I'm like 34 kilometers out of 50. So one more run and I'll be done.
Oh my goodness, you are such an amazing woman, amazing person, and there's no better way to cap this Women's Month celebration than to have you, Miss Issa Cuevas Santos. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, ate. I love you guys. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, me too. We all
Take care and stay safe. Wear your mask.
yes. And on that note, thank you everyone for joining us this evening.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Night.
Make it a habit every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific. Join us in another Kwentuhan here on Kwentong GK. Good night, everyone. Good
Night, everyone. Bye.
Ayan
Yeah.
na, state ka lang.
Correct. Babush. Bye.